It feels like every day this administration does something where it feels like the cruelty is the point, or like they're purposefully dragging us back to the Stone Ages. They want to give us biblical plagues, take away women's rights, or yeah, you know what? You guessed it, kill you by firing squad. Oh, yeah. Okay, firing squad. Wow. I just really have some real choice words for the members of the Justice Department who just reauthorized the use of firing squad for capital punishment executions. I'm sorry. Why is that now? Because President Trump doesn't think the U.S. is moving fast enough to kill inmates on death row. Whew. And, because everything he does is about sport and entertainment, don't be surprised when he wants to host the first firing squad execution in the White House Rose Garden. Or, you know what? Whatever is left of it, I suppose. This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest this week is one of your favorite ladies from The View and the host of the new podcast, Bleep, Ana Navarro. And just a heads up, this was recorded before the White House Correspondents Dinner, just in case you were wondering. After you enjoy this episode, be sure to look up the spring dates for my How to Survive Menopause tour, now up on SamanthaBee.com. Until then, take a listen and make good choices. Oh my God, it's such a pleasure to see your face.
Thank you for having me. My face has aged. Donald Trump has aged me. I don't know what's happening to my neck, Samantha.
Oh, are you?
Some days I wake up and there's a pussy where my neck used to be. I don't know what's happening. And it just happens some days. It doesn't happen others. I don't understand this.
Every cream I have now is like, will this prevent me from getting a second vagina on my neck? Like, please, I want to... I'm like, I stick my chin out so much in photographs that now I look differently insane.
Please, oh my God! In every picture I take, I want the camera to be on the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, me too. I take photos with my daughters, my teenage daughters, and they're like, "Why? What are you doing?" They always want to take photos from below, and I'm like, I need your phone right now. I'm going to smash your phone with a hammer, and I'm throwing it in the ocean. Give it to me.
Thank you. Yes. I don't know who takes photos from below.
Well, you look amazing to me. And, okay, you are so busy. I don't understand your schedule. Can I be honest?
Either.
Yeah. How are you alive right now with this?
Oh, barely. Okay. So I commute every week. When The View is in season, when The View is not on hiatus, I commute every week between Miami and New York.
Right.
I love living in Miami. I love the lifestyle, the weather. Just my life is here. My family is here. But work is in New York. So I usually go to New York every Sunday night, and I usually come back to Miami every Thursday night. And then while I'm in New York, I also do CNN, and now I do the podcast.
I know. Okay, so
tell
me
jobs.
A lot of jobs, but you know what? That's this business now. You gotta just always be doing different things. You gotta be like cross promoting all your stuff and expressing yourself exactly the way that you want. So tell me about Bleep.
Do you remember the good old days when we had a life where we could do one thing?
One thing.
And then spend time with family and friends and ourselves.
I know. I love imagining like who I used to be. I remember times in my life where I would sit down and watch like a marathon of Law and Order reruns. Like I would like lay there and just permit myself to watch multiple shows in a row. I'm like, who's that person? Where did that go? Mental peace. Tell me about the catalyst for the podcast, because you're out there, I have a theory about it, but like you're out there like expressing yourself, you're on CNN, you're doing The View, you're saying everything that needs to be said. Like you're like pushing out the contours of everything that needs to be said. Why take on a podcast as well? Is it you want to say things differently?
To tell you the truth, I'm asking myself the same question because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think people think about podcasts that it's just folks showing up and yapping away in front of a microphone in their basement. It's not. A lot of work goes into it. But listen, you know that there's restrictions on network TV, that there's things you can't say, especially at 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
You can't do things like cuss.
Yeah.
And if you've been living through Trump for the last 10 years, you know cussing is necessary, cathartic, and a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
On CNN, you get a minute or two to make your case, and then you're moving on to the next topic. And I think there's so much happening, right? We're stuck in this hamster wheel of news right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that are happening, we miss because there's just so much happening.
Yeah.
Or we don't really we don't dive deep into it and explain it. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So many of us hear conversations about the 25th Amendment. And let's use the 25th Amendment on Trump. And everybody just says the 25th Amendment. Mm-hmm. But do people know what the 25th Amendment is, why it came to be, when it came to be, the different segments, and what it requires to actually use it on a Donald Trump, if that were ever possible? I think it's not. But, those are the types of things that I want to explain. I also have a segment where I talk about my heroes and my cowards of the week. Obviously, there's not a shortage of cowards. There's a lot of them sitting in the Capitol and in the cabinet of this administration. Yeah. But there's heroes. Bad Bunny is a hero. Carol G and her Coachella is a hero. There's just, so many people doing spectacular things. Some of them whose names are not famous that I want to highlight. And I also wanted, Sam, so often I get stopped, and I suspect this happens to you too. So often I get stopped at an airport or a supermarket or wherever, and people just tell me that they feel helpless and hopeless. They feel like there's nothing they as an individual can do. Yeah. So this is like a call to action and an inspiration. A few weeks ago, I had on the show on Bleep, on the podcast, I had Emily Gregory. She is the state senator state rep who just flipped the seat in Florida into Democratic hands that represents Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. Right. Yes. And this is a woman who's a small entrepreneur. She's a military wife. She's a mom to small children. And she was just pissed off, fed up, and frustrated with a state government that does not solve her issues. And she decided, fuck with it, I'm going to run. Right. If they're not going to do it, I'm going to run. And she knocked on doors. She worked her little heart out, and she won. She ran a great campaign. So those are the kind of stories I want to tell people, because people need to understand that each and every one of us has a platform and a voice and something we can do. If it's getting your children to register to vote, or getting your parents to turn off Fox News and actually watch something truthful. But we all have something that we can do to contribute to the defense of democracy.
And it's nice to, and sometimes what you really need to hear, what you really need to express or feel is just a sense that people feel as you do. Just kind of like building community around this feeling that bubbles up in everyone. I like you, I get stopped all the time and people are like, what should we do? And I'm like, I'm a citizen too. I feel in many ways as fatigued as any other person. And I'm curious, how you grapple with that too. You get to express yourself. I listened to your episode about the 25th Amendment. I thought it was great. Because people do forget what that is. It has not been it hasn't been deployed yet in history, and it's not going to be. It requires the cabinet, and he surrounded himself by sycophants. Yeah. I mean, he keeps firing the sycophants. He's going to have to get because they're just so bad. Even for sycophants, you know how bad they gotta be that they are like champion suck-ups to Donald Trump, and even he is sick of them and getting rid of them.
the fatigue is real.
Yeah.
And the sadness is real. And it hits in particular for me as a Latina immigrant.
Right.
No community has been as maligned, humiliated, tortured, persecuted and prosecuted as the brown immigrant community.
Right.
I'm a part of. And so, Sam, sometimes it's overwhelming when you see a little 5-year-old with a blue knit cap being used as human bait. When you see a pregnant woman being dragged through the streets, when you see the murder of Alex Preddy and Renee Good and the young man that the federal agents killed for no reason in Texas, and all, when you read about the 50 people that have died in ICE custody, or the thousands of children who are being held in deplorable conditions, it is overwhelming, it is saddening, and I have learned to live with that. To learn to find balance. So if that means that I'm going to play Bad Bunny's halftime show on a loop, like if it was porn, to lift my soul up, I do. If that means, going on, leaving the country, going anywhere,
right,
to try to change the environment, not consume news. I'm going to more music events and concerts and things that I have ever been to my life. I'm also going to protest.
Right.
I have been to every No Kings protest, and every time I go to one, I come out feeling better. Number one, because damn liberals are creative. Those signs are so fun.
The signs are so good. And it is so good to stand, like to just be physically present with other people who feel as you do. And it's not that any one protest is going to really do anything, but if they keep growing and if we just keep all standing there and it feels like something, and you have to feel something. I'm curious what do you do to find balance? I do the same. I don't have any type of balance. I don't know. I don't have any type of balance. I'm not, what do I do to find balance? I ignore the need for balance and don't experience that as a human. I don't have that, but I do walk away from my phone. I'll say that. I do find that is really effective, really effective. I think every once in a while I tap back into the fact that all those I'm using quotation marks, that all those tech geniuses put their children in Waldorf schools with no technology at all. And I tell myself, I'm going to go to Waldorf University now, as an adult. I'm putting my phone away. I'm walking away from all of this.
Well, so I went away over Easter week. The View was on hiatus, and I went to one of those blue zones in Costa Rica to see if I can add 2 days to my life.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not going to consume news. I'm not going to turn on cable news. Maybe I'll, look at panda content on my Instagram.
Panda content.
But then that was the week when Melania had that random out of the blue press conference that not even Trump knew about, saying, what was that press conference about? I didn't sleep with Epstein. I don't know Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know him at all, even though I'm in all these photographs with it.
Right. And then that was the same week that, you wake up on Easter Sunday and Trump is threatening the elimination of a civilization. So I will say, it was easier to get away from it all under Joe Biden. I miss Sleepy Joe, don't you? Back when you could sleep.
Oh boy! And you know what? I wanna just reflect on, since we're talking about the 25th Amendment, because Republicans will never deploy it. This will never happen. But I do feel like if Joe Biden was our president right now, everybody would be talking about it like it was just a reality that was about to unfold. There is an imbalance in the force, in the laws of nature. And it does give me disruption in my heart, and also attacks on the Pope. I want to talk about the Pope with you because I'm eliminating all of the other things that I'm beside myself about. This one really has been striking for me. JD Vance telling the Pope to really consider speaking about theology. I need the Pope to excommunicate him publicly. I really do. I need the Pope to just be like, you're out. It was nice having you ever so briefly, but you got to get out. You can't do that.
Yes. Think about the hubris of JD Vance, who has been a Catholic for all of 5 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, he's been a bunch of things, politically and spiritually.
Yes.
Right? He was an atheist not too long ago, and he was an anti-Trumper not too long ago.
Yes.
But think of the arrogance of JD Vance, who's been a Catholic for 3 days, telling the Pope what theology is, and having the lack of shame and self-awareness to tell the Pope to be careful with his words. You can't work for Donald Trump, right? The man who celebrates Bob Mueller's death, celebrates Rob Reiner's death, threatens the eradication of an entire civilization, posts memes of the Obamas as apes and pretends that, he didn't know it was there. And you're going to tell Pope Leo to be careful with his words? I mean, just the hypocrisy is astounding, even for JD Vance.
Oh boy. You know what? It's amazing how much you can, because I do feel like as a citizen now, I'm so able to compartmentalize all the different offenses that happen on a daily basis, weekly basis. And you have just reminded me of like 10 other things. Within 2 sentences, you remind me of 10 different things that all happened that made my hair.
Well, because you I don't know if this happens to you, where I wake up and I see something that Donald Trump has posted in the middle of the night.
Yes.
I honestly think that if somebody just gave him a sleeping pill, it would improve so much.
It would improve the whole
Nothing
world.
that man is posting at 4 a.m. is ever good.
No.
But okay, you wake up in the middle of the night and you see this post of Trump depicting himself as Jesus, and you will say to yourself, okay, this has got to be AI. And I find myself checking, is this AI? Because you cannot believe that the president of the United States is doing this and that nobody around him is stopping. Somebody needs to give him a dumb phone like you give 2-year-old toddlers to entertain themselves.
Yes.
But then what blows my mind even more is that I go on CNN and there are people on CNN defending him, posting himself as Jesus and pretending that he was posting himself as a doctor.
I honestly,
do you know
what does it take?
The level of, and that's why Donald Trump treats his base like morons, because they're willing to act like morons in order to defend the moronic things Trump does.
It is the most unrelatable thing that I can imagine to like imagine someone like that waking up one day and going, today's the day I defend something. It's fine. He did a picture of himself as Jesus. It's no big. He was a doctor. Like actually saying those words out loud on camera. I don't understand how you can be that. I can't.
Sam. Bill, what's his name? Franklin freaking Graham. Was defending it.
It's
God help us.
Discombobulation. What do you think? This fight with the church, which like is kind of a one-sided fight because Pope Leo's like, it's fine. I don't care. I'm the Pope. I'm not getting involved in this. But there is an already really Trump has a fraying relationship with Hispanic voters. Do you think that this will move the needle? I'm just really hoping.
I find a lot of Hispanic voters having buyer's remorse and just being a little embarrassed to admit it publicly.
Right.
But this is just one more straw breaking the camel's back. A lot of Hispanics, you are picking a fight with the largest religion in America.
Yeah.
There's over 50 million Catholics. It is the predominant religion of Latinos in many of the swing states. But listen, the heartbreak from Hispanics is, this might be the latest nail on that coffin, but it's about the cruelty we have seen exhibited towards our community, the racial profiling, the fact that anybody who looks like me and has an accent like me, if I'm standing in the wrong corner in front of a Home Depot or selling tamales, or I could get picked up and taken in a raid as well. We have seen citizens be picked up just because they're brown. We have seen U.S. residents. We have seen U.S. veterans and people who have served in the armed services picked up in these ICE raids. And we have seen the Hispanic community portrayed as nothing but criminals and gang members. I mean, my God, have we forgotten that he sent hundreds of Venezuelan men to the worst hellhole, the equivalent of the black hole of Calcutta in El Salvador? And most of them had no criminal record or gang affiliation. I just think that these folks are counting on us forgetting all of that.
They are.
And that's why I wanted Bleep the podcast, because I will be damned if I will let people forget.
Yes.
Liam Ramos or Alex Preddy or the men he sent to El Salvador or the pregnant. We have got to keep talking about it. Notice they have made a very, very concerted effort to get immigration off the headlines. Notice that the White House, the Republican pollster has been telling those running for office not to mention the mass deportations, not to boast about it as a administration accomplishment, because they know that it's become a liability, particularly with the Latinos who gave Trump a chance, people in the Rio Grande Valley, people here in South Florida. Sam, the shit is bad when even Cubans are getting deported.
Right.
I mean, Cubans have been like the sacred cows of the Republican Party, right? When everybody else was getting deported, the Cubans were untouchable. And some of them are getting deported to, like, I'm not making this up. Go look this up. Some of them are getting deported to Sudan and Eswatini.
It is... These third country extraditions, these random extraditions are insane to me. And I appreciate that you are calling attention and drawing us back to it, because it is such a scotch hose of information and insults and ridiculousness that you can easily lose track of everything that's happening. I mean, how does Marco Rubio reflect on deportations of Cubans? Like, what is going on in his brain? He is so broken. I see a broken person whose soul has left the body. How do you reflect on him? How does he wake up in the morning and look in the mirror?
I think he wakes up in the morning, looks at the mirror and says, "Fuck boy, you done good. You're Secretary of State. You got yourself a big office and you got yourself a big plane to go around the world." Right. And, you're now called the Honorable Marco Rubio. And you're Secretary of State, and maybe you'll get the chance to make a change in Cuba, and you got rid of Maduro. And dude, aren't you just the coolest cat?
Big boy job. You got a big boy job.
I think he thinks there's a lot of things he's done. Listen, here's the truth. Being in the circle of power is very addictive.
Right.
And it's, it is, you get drunk with the idea of your own power and influence and access. And I think that's what's happened to Marco. It is incomprehensible to me that they are deporting and taking temporary protective status from Venezuelans at a time when that country so desperately needs what the people here in the United States are doing to help rebuild that country. It is incomprehensible that Marco is sitting there in silence while they are taking away the temporary protective status from Haitians. He knows full well the chaos and anarchy and violence going on in that country. Nicaraguans, nobody knows these issues better than Marco Rubio. He has represented those communities for decades now, first in the State House, then in the U.S. Senate. It's just his silence is shameful, Sam. Shameful.
It's a disgrace. It's a goddamn disgrace.
Yeah, but he thinks he's going to run for president. And he thinks he might become president, be the first Latino president. And isn't that just great? And so in order to do that, he's got to be in Trump's good graces, right? And in order to do that, he's got to shut up and put up with the inhumanity and cruelty against his own community.
Right. Is there a future for a normal Republican Party? How in the world? I don't know that there has recently been normalcy. I mean, we've been through so much of this, but I'm just not sure how any order is restored. Do you have a theory? Do you have a take on this? I don't understand how it goes back to being a normal party again.
Because they're going to lose, Sam. They're going to lose badly in November. And I think that's going to be a wake-up call. Look at all of these special elections that we have had in the last year. They've all been won by Democrats, most of them overwhelmingly won by Democrats. A lot of seats have flipped to Democratic hands that had been long held by Republicans. And so I think the wake up is going to come when they number one, at some point, Trump is going to go away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 80 years old. His ankles are the size of furniture. He's bruised from head to toe. I don't know who's more bruised these days, whether it's Mitch McConnell or Donald Trump. But in other words, he is not the picture of health.
No.
Donald Trump is going to disappear at some point. Either he's going to die or he's going to, his term is going to end.
Imagine the scale of the global celebration when he is no longer the president of the United States. The scale, I feel that people will be dancing.
Somebody's going to have to tie me down because I am going to be in the streets.
I'm going to be in the streets. I'm going to be in my best party dress. We will be. There will be a cry to the heavens that will be heard all around.
Yeah, but listen, he's going. It's a 4-year term.
Yeah,
we're almost halfway through it. He is not going to be around forever. I think he's going to complete his 4-year term, and I think there's going to be huge losses on the Republican side because this country has had enough. We are not blind. We see the cruelty. We see the incompetence.
Yes.
We see the grifting. We see the corruption.
Yes.
And there will always be people who are with Trump, but more and more you see people turning from Trump. If you see the numbers amongst independents, he's got the worst poll numbers right now of any president at this point in a second term. And so the reckoning is coming. And at that point, when he is no longer around, inflicting fear, putting fear in the hearts of Republicans, because he will get involved in primaries and he will make them lose.
Yes,
so,
he will.
You've got to think that at some point when he's not around, people will find the testicles which have been hidden in a cabinet somewhere in the White House.
He might have to leave the country when he is not president anymore. He might have to pull a Michael Jackson and go live in Bahrain or something like that.
Who's going to leave the country?
Trump. He might need a residence elsewhere. I don't know. Anyway, I did have a theory about him. I was like, oh, they must have, when the whole ballroom, when they knocked down the East Wing, I was like, oh, that's just the people around him giving him a project to work on, giving him a fun construction project to distract him. Speaking of, having his phone bricked would be nice. But I thought, maybe they gave him this little, this thing because they know he loves construction and they know he likes to wear a hard hat that's too big for his head and walk around with plans in his hands as he did at the Easter celebration, his renderings of the ballroom, showing them to children.
Did you see that? Did you see him walking around with a huge piece of cardboard with a rendering of the ballroom, showing it to 5-year-olds? And now
crazy.
He's walking around with a huge rendering of his arch.
Yeah. His art.
I'm telling you, if he was your father or your grandfather, you would have him at a neurologist ASAP, thinking, my God, he's losing his faculties.
You'd be like, draw the time of day on this clock, sir. What's 5:45 look like on this blank circle?
For somebody who's supposedly as wealthy and successful as he claims to be, his need for affirmation, he is like a mutt, like a dog who needs to pee on everything and leave his mark. He wants his name on everything, but everything he touches turns to shit.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Kennedy Center or whether it's what he's done to the East Wing, basically obliterated. I mean, he just, the White House Correspondents Dinner, everything just turns to shit. Instead of having a comedian, we're stuck with a mentalist.
Wait, are you don't go to DC anymore? What's your
I've self-deported. Last time I was in Washington DC was December 2024 when I went to my last Christmas party at the White House, and it's gonna take a lot for me to come back.
Right.
Maybe when Hakeem Jeffries gets sworn in as the new Speaker of the House, but no, I haven't been back to DC, and I have mixed emotions about it because, of course, we all know that the funds raised go to scholarships for journalism students. We all know that some very courageous journalists and photojournalists get recognized. That's really the significant part of the evening. But what gets the attention is when the president speaks and when there's a comedian. It's a lighthearted night where people are supposed to not take themselves seriously. But I just find it impossible, particularly as a Latina immigrant, to go sit in a room and normalize a man who has tortured my community for the last 15 months.
Absolutely.
I find it impossible to sit there and at an event that's to celebrate the free press and journalism when the man, when Donald Trump has done nothing but weaponize his government against the free press. I mean, all the outlets that he's sued and gotten settlements from, the threats, the weaponization of the FCC. I mean, it's endless. We read this week reports that they are investigating the New York Times for having broken the story about Kash Patel's girlfriend being schlepped around on FBI dime. In other words, taxpayer dime. So
and he's suing the Atlantic.
How do you normalize this? How do you sit there? And I'm really pissed at the White House Correspondents Association if what's been reported is true. Because it's been reported, I don't know if this is going to end up being the case, that Trump is going to go, make his remarks, and leave before the awards get given to the journalists and the scholarships get given out. If that's the case, I am very disappointed in the White House Correspondents Association because this is their event. And if they're going to give him the mic, they should make his ass sit there and watch all of the journalists who have revealed the incompetence and corruption of his administration get awarded and feted by everybody in the room. If that's not the case, then when he speaks, everybody should turn their chair around and give him their back.
100%.
Have you been before?
I went.
I feel like you're.
I had a passion. I have a passion about it.
You're having an exorcism moment.
I almost had an
At
exorcism.
any moment, your head's going to start turning. You're going to start vomiting pea soup.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird. For me, it was a complicated event. I just didn't really like it. I understand about the scholarships, but then when I learned how much they actually give out in scholarships, I was like, there's a lot of people in this room who could just give that amount without even blinking. It's not worth it because. To me, the one time that I went, I observed there's a real juxtaposition in the room. You're giving.
So what year was it, and who was president when you went?
George Bush. Bush was president, and
one or two.
Two, Bush 2.
Okay,
and Iraq had happened, so we all knew that. I mean, Jesus, we all witnessed the destruction and that disaster. So. when I was there, one of the people getting an award had just done this huge expose about the Iraq War and how terrible it was and the outcome. And it was a great piece. And then President Bush had to stand up on stage, and then they shook hands together and took a picture. And I was like, I don't get it. I'm out. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this again.
Okay,
so,
but listen, to his credit,
he did it.
Number one,
Yeah,
George W. Bush has a sense of humor.
He does, and he
Can
understood.
take a joke and
he
can
understood
make
the mission.
and can poke fun at himself.
Yep.
And he had the decency of sitting there
Exactly.
while these people who had revealed horrible things about his administration were getting awards.
He took his lumps, and that is what you were supposed to do. That is what the event is designed for. He did. He absolutely sat there. He, plastered a smile across his face, and he took it. And that, I think, was the absolute correct decision. But this is they're probably just afraid that this mentalist is going to read Trump's body language and diagnose him for the whole room, which, I mean, that's what he does.
Have you
as
ever
a
met
mentalist.
this mentalist?
I've never, no, I don't. I mean, it's fun.
He's full of shit too.
But they're all full of shit.
He was on The View, and it was
really?
he was on The View, and it turned into a whole thing because I don't know what he does. I think he does something with phones, because when you sit with him before he goes, he kind of interviews you a little bit, and he tells you to write things down and do this and think of this and think of that. And bring your phone. So God knows what he what he does, but there's a mechanism there. It's he's not grabbing this shit from thin air.
Oh no.
But while he was on The View, he revealed one of the co-hosts' PIN number, actual PIN number.
What?
On live TV.
No.
And she was beyond herself, so upset. Just felt, her privacy had been violated, had to rush off the set to cancel shit and change shit and call banks and call her husband and, make sure, because God knows how many things had the same PIN number that he revealed. Yeah, no. So
crazy.
It was, I don't see him returning to The View anytime soon.
What a disaster. Oh,
it was a disaster.
That's a nightmare. Well, how do you protect yourself? Because you're saying that, you're always talking about the Trump, you're talking, and I mean, he certainly has come after The View, comes after everyone. How do you indemnify yourself? I'm always thinking about risk management. I can't help it. And so with your podcast, you're totally outspoken. How do you protect yourself against them? Or are you just I'm ready? I don't
listen. I honestly look at everything happening in the world. Look at the political violence. Look at the weaponization of government against folks. People getting denaturalized and indicted and tax audits and all sorts of shit that they can throw at you. So I don't think there's a way of really protecting yourself.
Right.
I think the protection will come when we make a change and we make a difference, and there is a Congress that holds these folks accountable, where there's real investigations, when there's somebody that you can call. I think there's things that are smart to do. I can tell you, I have a lot more cameras and security in my house now than I ever did. I am whenever I'm in a place, I'm kind of looking around. But I don't think any of us can actually be truly protected unless we decide never to leave our beds. And that's not an option, because I got bills to pay and I got things to say.
Yeah. What is your news diet? Are you a first thing in the morning reader? You pick up your phone first thing and you're scrolling through. How do you absorb?
The first thing I do in the morning is Wordle and connections.
Nice.
And the mini crossword puzzle.
Nice.
Once I get that, takes me about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I read the news. I always read the New York Times. I read the Washington Post. If I'm in the United States, I usually have CNN on the radio on Sirius, a lot, or have it at home on a lot. But if I'm out of the country, which is for me why anytime I get a chance, I just, leave the country, because it's where I truly can't do that, because you're in a different time zone, or you're in places where there is, where maybe the hotel doesn't carry CNN or doesn't carry a news outlet. If you're in Greece, you're swimming in the water. You're not doom scrolling, and you're not turning this in. But here in the United States, the truth is, I have to be up on what's happening. And if you look away for a day, a bunch of shit happens that you miss, because this guy is just, constantly churning things that you just can't believe. And I don't want to lose my outrage.
Right.
That's one of the things that worries me the most.
Yes.
That people just shrug their shoulders and say, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. I refuse to accept that the shit this guy does, the crazy shit this guy does on a daily basis, is just Trump being Trump. Okay, well, that might be Trump being Trump, but Trump is president of the United States, and that's unacceptable.
Unacceptable. And there are consequences that we are going to be feeling 20 years from now, because the rest of the world doesn't have as short a memory as we do. And they know that all of their trade agreements are blown up, and all of the kind of agreements that we had kind of globally to keep the world.
The
alliances are broken and smashed, and they're so breakable. And that has just been revealed to our international partners in such a profound way. Everything will look different 20 years from now because of this. Right now, maintaining outrage is hard to do, but I appreciate that you're doing it.
I don't know that I agree with you, because you were just talking about George W. Bush.
Yeah.
And the world hated him too, right? Whenever you traveled outside of the United States, people thought the Iraq War was crazy. And, he had terrible approval ratings all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obama came, and very quickly, world's perception of America changed on a dime. So listen, leaders make a difference. I'll give you another example. Think about Pope Benedict. A lot of people didn't like him much. They didn't think he was a good example of a pope. The church was in crisis because of the whole pedophilia thing and the way he had handled or mishandled that scandal. And then Francis came around, and it changed on a dime.
Yep.
So I think a bad leader can make an immediate difference, and I think a good leader can make an immediate difference. And I have hope that America will choose somebody that calls to our better angels, that unites us, that improves our image around the world. And that, Sam, I'm my bar is so low now. Honestly, I want somebody that didn't hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I want somebody that's like decent, that
just
doesn't lie on a daily basis.
Just a decent human being
that can blend their makeup. I'm not even asking for much these days.
Well, from your lips to God's ears. Oh my God, it was so great talking to you.
Is there anybody you like of the potential folks being mentioned for 2028?
You know what? I don't even venture a guess. I feel like it's such a long road before we get there. I'm going to vote. I don't care who it is. If they are a decent human being, I will vote for whoever is selected. I just want that person to be more intelligent than a greasy paper plate. I want that person to have values that I can see, that are demonstrated in their life. They don't have to be perfect at all. I'm going to vote for the least worst person. And that's honest to God how I see things. Vote for the least worst person you can find. That's how I feel. Well,
if we can't find somebody that's less worse, that's less bad than Trump, then
I don't know.
Well, then I don't know who's going to be running. Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
was Ana Navarro, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. We were talking about how the Pope should excommunicate JD Vance, and I had to know if that was possible. Do we still do that? Turns out the most recent excommunication was in 2024 when a staunch critic of Pope Francis, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, was excommunicated by the Vatican. So yeah, there's hope. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee. We'll see you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me, Samantha Bee. The show is produced by Svea Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Ryan Connor. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.